Okay. Good morning, everybody, and greetings from the Blue Ridge. My name is Ned Fowler. I'm founder and director of Northwest Housing, headquartered in Boone, North Carolina. We provide affordable housing solutions in 7 counties of northwestern North Carolina for more than 30 years now. I apologize for being with you today in video format. I had planned on attending your meeting in person, and unfortunately I've been called away in the opposite direction from my Boone, North Carolina offices in a way that has turned out to be unavoidable. So, if you'll bear with me, we're here to talk about multifamily housing and about smoke-free housing opportunity, and I suppose that I'm eminently qualified to talk about both of those things, in that my firm has developed and owns and manages 15 multifamily residential campuses, around $60 million worth of housing that we have developed, and I'm further qualified because I'm a smoker myself. Most of our properties are privately financed and managed by the Regional Housing Authority. Very few are the old style conventional public housing facilities. In fact, you could drive through most of our developments around the mountain counties and you would not know that they are assisted housing. As to smoking, I can remember years ago when we smoked in our offices. The people who came in and out of our offices were smoking. The employees were smoking. Of course, for the last 15 years or more, we have prohibited smoking in our offices, in our hallways, our meeting rooms, our indoor common spaces at all of our developments. We stopped short of banning smoking inside individual dwelling units. Part of the reason for that is that we have we assist more than 5,000 clients every day with their residential housing, and we recognize that these folks are economically disadvantaged, and we try to respect their rights. When they lease a dwelling unit from us, it's their home, and we want to treat them with respect with regard to what happens in their home. In December of last year, Kim Kashat, our family self-sufficiency coordinator, met with some folks who helped us begin to get a new focus on smoke-free housing. Those good folks, I think some of those good folks are with you today, representatives of the Appalachian District Health Department and the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. Kim brought back some information that we shared with our property managers, and that resulted in our intention to do a survey, which indeed we did distribute to all of our resident households. We sent the survey out in April of this year and got the responses back within a week or two later. The survey was fairly simple. It was short. It was easy to answer. It was to the point, specifically about smoking. It asked questions such as how much does secondhand smoke bother you? Do you believe that secondhand smoke can be harmful to a person's health? Do you smoke in the apartment? Do others smoke in the apartment? If so, how much? And questions to the effect that would you rather live in smoke-free housing or in a building where smoking is allowed? And what would you do if we enacted a policy change that caused smoking within your residential unit to be banned or disallowed? The results that we got from the survey, we got pretty good responses, and the results were overwhelmingly in favor of smoke-free housing. There were holdouts. There were those who had other opinions, but for the most part, our residents, like residents nationwide, prefer smoke-free housing. I'll read you a couple of the responses that we got by project. We asked, for instance, what would you do if smoke-free policy was in place, and one resident said, "I'll try not to smoke inside. I don't like for my child to be around secondhand smoke." Another said, "I would quit smoking. I would take classes and use other resources to quit smoking." Another replied, "I would not smoke in the building." One replied, "I don't smoke. I don't like it. I would be happy if the whole area was smoke-free." One smoker responded that they felt that this was because their rental housing is government assisted, or the cost of their rental housing is government assisted. They complain that the government's gradually taking away our freedoms, and that we need to do away with the government that would take away our freedoms, that sort of thing. We even had one smoker who responded that if we implemented smoke-free housing in their complex, that they would jump off the roof of the development. So we hope that it doesn't come to that. But at any rate, we compiled the results of the surveys, and we made a policy recommendation to the Board of Trustees of Northwest Regional Housing Authority in May of this year, and our board followed our recommendation and even took it a step further. We were actually recommending that two of the developments that were the most close quarters, I guess you'd say, they were seniors complexes that have shared hallways. Those were the complexes where we had the most complaints about secondhand smoke, and so we were recommending that we start with those two developments in implementing a smoke-free policy. The board looked at the other reasons why we would want to implement policies like this, other than opinions of the residents, and they determined that it was appropriate to implement a smoke-free policy in all of the housing that we own and manage region-wide. They did allow, of course, that we would phase it in, and we'll talk about that in a minute. We've got a lot of partners involved in this activity, a lot of qualified folks that have contributed to the conversation about smoke-free housing. They include the United States Centers for Disease Control, the American Lung Association, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and the Environmental Protection Agency, among many others. They have all encouraged smoke-free policies in multifamily housing for the following reasons. Those kinds of policies will almost certainly reduce operating and maintenance costs. Some estimates are that maintenance and turnover costs will be cut by at least 50%, and in some cases more than that. We know from our own experience that a smoke-free policy would reduce the danger of fire and related smoke and water damage in controlling fires. In fact, in April of 2013, there was a study by the American Journal of Preventive Medicine that estimated over $500,000 a year the cost of smoking in U.S. subsidized housing. Another reason is that most tenants prefer living in smoke-free buildings. Tenant health obviously improves in smoke-free buildings. Existing law allows rental landlords to take these kinds of steps. Although we want to respect individual rights within the dwelling unit, we wanted to take note that no court in the land has upheld any notion that there's an individual right to smoke, not even for adults. And of course, there are additional benefits for employees and visitors and guests of these complexes. As I mentioned, we started by partnering on a healthy living campaign with Appalachian District Health Department, North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. The idea was to promote healthy living activities, including eating well and exercising and smoking cessation. With the help of our partners, we've crafted policies. We've come up with resources that we will make available to our residents. In fact, this morning I was drafting the letters that will be sent to all of our residents to advise them about the new policy. We're going to have the property managers fully armed with information that they can help these residents with if they want to access information about information and actually assistance and aids in smoking cessation be made available to all of our resident households that request it. So we appreciate our partners helping us get that together and make that available. I also just found out that the University of North Carolina University of North Carolina Survey Research Lab, in cooperation with North Carolina Division of Public Health, has currently deployed a survey to all owners of multifamily housing across North Carolina with respect to gathering information about smoke-free policies. And the results of that survey will be distributed widely in the housing industry. So hopefully some of the work that we've done and that others are doing in this regard will help more folks to make the decision. There are 3,200 public housing authorities across the United States. Best we can tell from the information that we've seen, we are somewhere around the 250th public housing authority to make that policy decision for smoke-free housing. But we know that more are signing on to the initiative every day. Very important choices, healthy options, saves money. It has to be the right way to go. And certainly we want to protect the residents and particularly the younger residents from the dangers of secondhand smoke, which have been verified by the Centers for Disease Control as being a very serious health hazard. So that's the activity that we've been involved in. That's what they have asked me to speak with you about this morning. And since I can't take questions, I'll just have to wave goodbye. Come see us in Boone, and have a great day.